I'm not shy when it comes to talking with those boys. And Hunter Campbell was just walking in the back entrance, and I was like, "Yo, Hunter," and he was like, "Oh, good fight, man. I just watched it then." And I was like, "Hey, what do you think?" Me and Nate Landhewer.
Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now. All right, Jack. You're in Canada, man, of all places.
I am. I'm in Edmonton, Alberta.
Alberta. Where? Why?
Alberta. I used to live here back when I was a young fella. Like when I moved here when I was 18. I was probably just a little too young to turn pro and start fighting. So my coach told me to take a little bit of time off and mature a little bit. So I ended up in Canada working for one of my dad's friends, and now I'm up here just visiting everyone, which is good. I haven't been back here for like 7 or 8 years, so it's really nice now to come up and see everyone and see all the places from back when I was a bit younger.
No doubt. What were you doing?
I was just playing rugby and teaching kids how to swim.
Swim.
Yeah, yeah.
You have a swimming background?
No, but no one in Canada knows how to swim, so it's easy pickings.
All right, I see you. I see you. There you go. You got to hustle, right? You got to
Yeah,
hustle.
yeah, yeah.
All
True.
right.
True Blue Swim School. It's like an Aussie swimming company that teach kids how to swim, so it's pretty good.
All right. Anything special you're doing up there? Like, are you visiting any spots or anything like that?
Yeah. So I'll just hang out in Edmonton. I'm kind of just relaxing. I've got so many people I want to see up here, and then on Wednesday I'm going down for Fight Week in Vegas.
Okay.
Because obviously we got Jack Dalla, Jimmy Crute, Whitaker, Volko, Shannon Ross. So I'm pumped. I'm going to be trying to get as close as I can to the front row there and watch those boys kill it.
Yeah, it seems like they're having the Sydney card in Vegas for some reason.
Yeah, but I'll be on the Sydney card, so have no fear. It's locked in. I'll be on the Sydney card.
All right, let's talk about that. I want to rewind to the fight first. All right, let's talk
Yep.
about Jamall Emmers. You got the split decision win over him. Have you gotten a chance to sit down and dissect the fight?
Not on rewatching it. I've dissected it a lot with my coaches, just based on how I felt in there and what I thought happened, and we're all in agreement about it, about what I need to improve and what I did well, and I think every time I talk to you, I'm pretty hard on myself, but the one thing I'm just trying to take from it, my coaches were fairly encouraging around the fact that Jamall is really, really good. And every time I fight, I've taken a big step up in competition and, a big step up in pressure. And they were very happy with how I dealt with it all in the end. And, I had visa pressure again this time. I know I explained it to you about Contender Series, but I had the exact same thing this time where it literally came down to the wire, where I went into my coach's office after training one morning and I said, okay, if we don't have this visa by what day, like what day are we going to message the UFC and say we're not coming anymore? Like we just can't do it. It's going to be too short notice. And we said, all right, if there's no visa by this Friday, then the fight's off. We'll just say, look, we can't get over there in time. We're going to wait until Sydney. And then the visa actually came on the Thursday. So it was like, it literally came in 12 hours before our deadline in terms of when we were going to pull out. So then I got over, when did I fly in? I flew in on the Wednesday night, and then I had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, started cutting weight Sunday, weighed in Friday for Saturday. So it was still a little bit like I know, like if you look at Jack Dalla, Jimmy, Whitaker, all those boys, they're all over 2 weeks out. Like, and so it's still, and me personally, I don't do the jet lag hits me a bit harder than most people, I think. So I'm just, now I've got the visa, I've got it for 18 months. So now anytime I fight in the US, guaranteed I'm over here 2 weeks out. And the UFC only pays for the accommodation from the Tuesday. And I got asked, like, oh, well, are you sure you want to do that? Because that's like, that cuts into your purse and stuff. And I'm like, I make double the money if I win or half the money if I lose. You know what I mean? Like, it's an investment getting over here and making sure your body's good to go. So, like I said, I'm happy with it because it was a big step up. And I think I'm going to carry that this momentum on this 2-fight streak into a performance where it's going to be a bit of a breakout performance in Sydney, and I'm hoping that I get an opponent that will allow me to do that. Because you're a student of the game. Jamall literally changed pretty much his whole game every round. Like I started to get my range and hit some good shit at the end of the first round. He came out completely different in the second round, and then second round was similar. I started to get my rhythm at the end of the round, and then third round he came out and just started grappling. And then when he was grappling, it was like, well, I got back up once. I probably need to improve on that a little bit, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it was definitely a chess match, man. A lot of people describe that fight as a very technical matchup and a lot
Super,
of adjustments.
super high level.
And when you look at that fight and you look at the time spent in the octagon in front of the crowd, especially against the higher level fighters, it's gonna be super beneficial, man, as you rise up the ranks, right? Because quick finishes are all good and well, but it's like, man, that time is something you really need.
That time, and that's like, even though, so like my performance I think was better in Perth, but I felt like I was more comfortable and more present in my game plan and stuff in Florida. So like, and when I left feeling like, oh, I feel better for that fight. So now I'm just like, I have this feeling going into Sydney that once I step in there, it's going to be another step up for me again in competition, but I'm going to be able to rise to it.
Yeah, I like that you were honest about Emmers and saying that he is the best opponent to date. You approached it that way, and
Yeah.
and it showed in the fight, man. Because if you would have underestimated Emmers and he came out every round with a different style, it would have kind of fucked you up, right?
For sure. And I still like Dominic Cruz and DC in the commentary. I think about halfway through the second round, one of them, I don't know who it was, said, he goes, "This is a really high level fight, and we're going to see both of these guys in this division for a long time to come." And I agree with that a lot. Like, I think Jamal's got a lot to give. I think he can give a lot of people problems at the top end of the division. And I obviously think I can do the same, especially with someone a little bit style. It's going to be a bit easier for me to, work around what they do.
Well, Jamal's been around for a while, man. That was your only second fight in the UFC.
Yeah,
It
but
shows like where you're at though, at
yeah,
such a early in your career.
we didn't speak much after the fight, but when we shook hands and stuff, he kind of looked at me and he said, "Man, for 13 fights, I can't believe how composed you were then." Like he was shocked at that, and that's a huge compliment coming from someone who's got 28 fights, beaten Corey Sandhagen, beaten Alex Hernandez. Like he's got some big scalps, and he didn't manage to get mine.
Yeah, in his last fight, he fought I forgot his name, but
20,
he was like,
like I was 20, like I was a $3 underdog, and I'm coming in at 11-2. So it's like you can say what you want about it. I don't pay too much attention to the internet, but I know everyone's had a bit to say about it. But in my opinion, I'm just stoked with it. I went in there with a really high level guy and did my thing and got the win.
there you go, and you call for late Nate Landwehr for 293 in
Yep.
Sydney. Have you talked to anybody about it?
We talked to. I caught Hunter Campbell on the way out, and I'm not shy when it comes to talking with those boys. And Hunter Campbell was just walking in the back entrance, and I was like, "Yo, Hunter," and he was like, "Oh, good fight, man. I just watched it then." And I was like, "Hey, what do you think? Me and Nate Landwehr in Sydney. I said we can close the prelims or we can open the main card, but either way, I said you saw what it was like when I walked out in Perth. Like Sydney will be even bigger than that, and now I'm riding a little bit of momentum as well." And he's like, "I like that fight. I really like that fight. Let's talk to Sean and see what's happening." And then we emailed Sean, and Sean's always pretty like Sean's Sean. He doesn't give too much away, and he plays it pretty close to his chest. But I just emailed Sean and said thank you for getting me on the card because by all rights they could have just benched me until September, but I asked to fight, and he went out of his way to make sure I got that opportunity. So I just said thank you, Sean. I don't know if you saw, but I called out Nate Landwehr. If we can do that fight in Sydney, I'd be really keen. If he's not available, then let's talk about who else we can get. And he said, "All right, I'm reaching out to see who's available now, and we'll get you on that Sydney card." So yeah, that was my plan. This was a step on the road. I wanted to get one in and then be able to fight in Sydney.
Yeah, if you don't ask, you're not gonna receive, right? And
That
face to face is the best way.
100%. And like that's what you were in my Perth fight when Bisping was interviewing me. He said, "What do you want?" I said, "I want to fight in May or June, and I want to fight in America." And then it wasn't ideal circumstances, but the UFC came through and did it for me. And then Now I'm saying I want to be on the Sydney card and I want Nate Landwehr. I think if you look at that fight, I think that's a really good fight for me stylistically, but I think that's a good fight for the fans stylistically because you get the hometown boy against the guy who's got hype behind him, who's a bit more experienced, and stylistically, like we're both just going to go in there and bang. Like I'm not going to shoot takedowns early on Nate Landwehr. I'm going to try and counter punch. I'm going to try and kick his leg. I'm going to try and keep him on the back foot, and he's going to bite down on the mouth guard and try and be the last to throw a punch in every exchange. So, like, that fight's just fireworks. I think Nate would love that fight, to be honest, but it's just about whether he took a bit too much damage against Dan to back up so quick. And if that's the case, that's the case. We'll find someone who's suitable.
Who's option number 2?
If I had to pick, oh, shit. Anyone ranked 15 to 20 on like Tapology or something. I don't care. Just give me another step up. That's all I'm interested in, just stepping up. I'm trying to think, like featherweights ranked 15 to 20. Oh no, whoever, someone fun. But
Just on Sydney, you want to be on that card though.
yeah.
Like you
Well,
gotta be.
are you gonna come down? You gonna fly down?
I'm trying to, man. That's a big one, dude. That's
Yeah.
a big one right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You come down, you got to come because, like, I think, like what, especially like Hunter and I think Hunter was there when I walked out at Perth, and it was like, I reckon apart from Volk and Jack Dalla, I was easily loudest reception.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was on at like 6 o'clock in the morning. So now we do it in Sydney where it's a little bit more reasonable time and there's a little bit more hype. I think people will start to go, holy shit, like this kid's got a bit of following behind him, and we can build on that. And I still haven't had like a breakout performance. Like I think I don't know. I said I thought it was a C+ performance. Like I'm just chugging along in terms of my actual in-ring performances. I'm yet to have that one where I'm really happy with it, where I, consider it a breakout. And I'm just going to keep my head down. Like, I don't mind doing interviews with you and those other guys who got me on when I was on the local scene. But as far as like, I don't do much media. I don't do a heap of social media promoting and shit like that. I just keep my head down, keep thinking about where I'm going and focus on that.
Yeah, you're always looking to improve and you're always training and doing it. And I saw you spent some time in Phuket. I just missed you at Craig Jones's camp.
Yeah, yeah.
And, I saw a couple videos, man. How was it? How was, going and grappling with someone like that? And there's so many other high level guys at that camp.
Yeah, it was great. Like I only got the back end and got to roll with Craig a little bit. I remember like I was watching the video in the comments and like the comments on YouTube were like, oh shit, this Jack can actually like grapple. And I was like, yeah, fucking oath I can. Like, what do you mean I can grapple? And then the other comments were like, holy fuck, that guy's 145 pounds. And I was like, oh no, I'm not 145 pounds.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Craig, dude, like what can you say, man? You guys have a gem in Australia. That dude is like, and he helps everybody too.
Yeah, Craig's just like a G. Like just what you see is what you get. He's one of the most likable guys on the planet who also just happens to be a freak, like almost generational athlete for something like jiu-jitsu. And yeah, guys like Stylebender. Like I think he was with us at Absolute, and then he's gone over to the US, and he's still involved at Absolute, and he's still involved at MA1, which is the company that sponsor me for all my gear as well. And so we've always had a little bit of access to him, but then Volk got him in, obviously, and Volk spoke so highly of him that Stylebender got him in, and then all these guys, they're all just homies now, and it's like it's a similar situation with me and Volk, like, and now I've only met Stylebender recently, but these guys are all people who I look up to, and now I get to hang out with them, and they're all just such good dudes, and everyone willing to help each other out when it comes time. Like Volk, I was going to go up and help Volk, and Volk's happy to come down and help me if I need it, and we've got a bit of a renaissance of Australian MMA and New Zealand MMA at the moment. And, I'm happy to be in the middle of it and get my turn to put my stamp on it.
Well, I feel like it's two generations. Like you're the newer generation. They're kind of like the ones that have already been established and they're kind of, doing their thing. But, at least they're ushering you in. You know what I mean? They're kind of
Yeah.
like taking you in and saying like, yo, you're the
Yeah.
next guy. Let's do it.
Well, you know what? Like, there's a big thing in MMA, and I've seen both sides of it, right? Where you come in and you're a talented young guy, and the older guy wants to keep their foot on the back of your neck, and they treat you like that, like they, try like be mean, kind of like take their licks on you when you're inspiring, and they want you to know that they're the big dog. And then you've got other guys like Volk, for example, who's like, all he wants, the better you are, the better training partner he has. So don't get me wrong, he'll put it on you when he needs to, when he's training and stuff. But his whole attitude is that he wants you to get better. And I'm trying to be really conscious of that, because now I'm one of those guys that people in the gym look up to and that sort of thing. I'm trying to be really conscious of which guy do I want to be for my teammates? Do I want to be the foot on the back of the neck guy who's trying to keep people down, or do I want to be the guy that helps lift people up? And, I've had good role models in that, and with, Callum Potter and Alex Volkanovski and those guys. So now I want to be that for the younger guys.
Shout out to Callum Potter, man.
Yeah,
people forget how he's an OG right there, dude, of Australian MMA.
There's nothing he didn't do in Australian MMA. And the thing is that, like, he did it without that help. Like, I've got these dietitians now who can help me cut the weight and know what they're doing and that sort of stuff. He was doing it all off his own research. And, I've got coaches who are super specialized and stuff. And for a lot of that, he didn't have that. He was putting together the pieces himself. And, he was happy to pass that on and make sure I didn't make some of the mistakes he did. So, yeah, Cal Potter's an OG.
Jimmy Crute, man, I know you're cool with him, and did you train any with him while you were preparing?
Get together in time.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I'm so confident in saying this. Like, whatever you expect is going to happen this weekend, expect Jimmy Crute to come out and be different than what you've seen. Like, I've spent the majority of my adult life around Jimmy, and knowing him, I know when he's switched on and when he's got other stuff in his head, and the amount of growth that he's gone through in the past, like, sort of 18 months to 2 years. And I feel like he's on the other side of it now. And he's this happy medium where he's back to being himself and being relaxed whilst also being super focused on what he's got to do. I feel like it's going to be a fucking vintage Jimmy Crute performance this weekend. And I'm so pumped to be there in person to watch it.
Yeah, extremely talented guy. Did you see the photo that he posted in Vegas recently? And everybody's like, good luck, Marvin.
Yeah,
he looks like Marvin.
We were just talking about that upstairs. It was like, you see, like, it's like, hey, you going, that's Vittori. You see, like, I don't know if you saw when Jamall had to shave his head to make the weight.
Yeah.
All the comments were like, you ain't slick. We know you swapped in Bobby Green. Like, the internet's undefeated, bro. You can't fight it.
For real. And, it's I see what you're doing, though, a little bit. Like, going back to Vegas during International Fight Week and getting into their, like, Sean, you're going to run into Sean Shelby, too. You'd be like, yo, like, let me get an update, man. That's, I think that's something, like, fighters don't, I don't know if they don't, but they need to do a little bit more, is to get into the face.
Yeah, well, I messaged the UFC and said, hey, I'm paying my own way. I'm going to be in Vegas. If anyone pulls out of the expo, or you need anyone to show up and do something with fans, if you need anything like that, hit me up, because I'm available, right? And, I know, like, if you look at the list on that expo list, I'd be a fish out of water in terms of, what I've accomplished in the UFC compared to the people who are actually in that expo. But that doesn't mean I can't be along and,
yeah,
you can make some fans' day just by sitting down and having a 5-minute chat with them, and then they'll tell 20 people about how good that interaction was. So just being around it, I'm happy. Like, the fans are why we get to do this sport. So if I can be there and, be a bit of a fan myself for the week whilst also representing the UFC in a positive light, then that's what I'm going to do.
There you go, man. That's why people love you, Jack.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You do your thing, man. One last question. How disrespectful is it to actual fighters that people are talking about Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk fighting each other in an octagon?
Yeah, like, and everyone's just so happy to jump on it. And, like, I don't care about people for example, YouTubers when they want to fight to make money, right? Like, I don't hate on anyone making money as long as you say it is what it is, right? Like, we're not good fighters, but we're going to fight. But my problem with, like, the Zuck and the Elon shit, right, is that if Elon Musk was going to play Mark Zuckerberg in a match of tennis, right? They said, yeah, we're doing this match. It's the tennis match. No one gives a fuck, right? Because it's like, you guys aren't good at tennis. Why the fuck would we watch that? Yeah. So then you say, okay, we're going to have a fight. And you go, well, they're not fucking good at fighting, so why are we watching? And the answer to that is just, we all just like a bit of violence, right? Mm-hmm. So people want to watch because they want to see maybe one of them get beat up, which even that I'm okay with. But don't masquerade it as a UFC fight in a cage or whatever. Just fucking go fight on the street. Elon and Mark, if you want to fight, like, don't piss on us and tell us it's rain and that you're having this MMA fight and whatever. People just want to see one of them get beat up, and that's not what we do. Like the guys in our position have worked their whole life to be as good as we are and to do what we do. And then, you know, I don't consider it disrespectful. I just don't understand it. It's like I wouldn't fucking pay to watch Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg play tennis because they'd be fucking shit. You know what I mean? I'm not going to pay to watch them fight because they're going to be fucking shit.
There you go. You know, I forgot who was saying this, but they were kind of agreeing with you as well. It's like they don't want to see that fight happen because these could be like the future leaders of the world. Like they could be in positions of government. Why would you want them to fight in a cage?
Yeah, it was, what's his name? The fucking monotone voice guy who interviews everyone. Really smart guy. Lex Friedman. He's like,
Okay.
I don't want to see these guys. These are the leaders of free thought in the world and stuff. Like, why do I want to see them fight each other? And for me, that's my position as well. Because it's like, we don't want to see it as a sporting spectacle because we know, like, I know those guys. I've seen videos of them training. They're trash. Like, sorry, there's lots of good people who can't fight, and that's them. I just don't have any interest in it.
There you go. Jack, man, always appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. And hopefully I'll be in Sydney, man. We'll run into us face to face.
We'll do some face-to-face stuff.